Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, the editor. Joining me is Josh Mansfield on this Thursday, September 14th. It is the first round of the MVP Open today. This show is probably coming out right as the FPO coverage is getting started. I promise we made our picks before we saw any shots during the FPO round. Steve Dodge will join us a little bit later to talk about the tournament and give us some details on changes this year, course alterations, and all that good stuff. Josh, before we jump into MVP Open talk, I have a couple notes for you on USDGC.
Okay, great.
It's right around the corner.
It is.
Perhaps you saw, this was posted, I don't know where, maybe on social media, but it's been around the internet. One of the things they're going to be doing this year, they've got a Legends skins match. They're going to play around the lake. Ken Climo, Barry Schultz, Will Schustrick, legends of the game, winners at USDGC, and they're going to play some skins. So it's happening after the second round on Friday, and then they're going to film it, and they're going to put it up on DGN on Tuesday, October 10th. They just put that out in a press release. So eventually it'll be on the GK Pro YouTube channel. So that's pretty cool, Josh.
That is. It's going to be fun to watch. Charlie, I'm going to ask you right now, who's your pick for the Legends skins match?
Climo.
I will take Schustrick then.
Okay.
There we
I like
go.
it.
Okay.
USDGC, always a fun time. I actually talked to Jonathan Poole, event director, yesterday. I'll have some more writing on this at some point, but just wanted to point a couple things out that I thought were interesting. One of the things we talked about was their ticketing strategy. So they sell day passes and they sell 4-day passes. Then they have their gold package, which is kind of like you get food and beverage for free, along with parking and a couple of other benefits. And they do have some sort of like above and beyond things like we're going to hear about from Steve Dodge later. They're doing something very interesting at the MVP Open this year, similar to, priced over $1,000, a little bit similar to what we saw at Worlds. Starting to see these kind of like fancy packages. But what I wanted to bring up and I wanted to get your take on, Jonathan was saying, I see these other tournaments are going to this model where you have to buy a VIP pass in order to be able to walk with the lead card and follow the golf up close and personal. And everybody else has to get a general admission ticket. And he said, we don't want to do it that way. I actually don't think it's the right model. And he pointed out, he says, I've been a caddy a lot walking with the lead card various times. We've seen him caddying for Henna Blomroos quite a bit over the last few years. And he said sometimes there's not enough fans and it saps the energy both from the fans and from the players not to have the crowd close. And I just thought that was very interesting because I haven't really ever heard anybody say that. Now, obviously, USDGC as a plot of land is much more amenable to allowing people to kind of go wherever they want compared to a wooded course, for instance. And so it's, his model wouldn't work everywhere. But I wanted to get your thoughts on not really having a VIP ticket that lets you get close. Sure, you can pay up for, perks,
right?
But like the actual watching golf experience is essentially the same for everybody, regardless of which ticket you have. Do you like that?
I mean, I would have to kind of look at what the price structure is there, but if that's the case, if that's really like what the objective is, and you say, look, we want more energy, we want more fans, just open more VIP tickets and don't price them quite as significantly different, because you see sometimes the price difference between the VIP and the general admission tickets is significantly higher. And maybe it's also a crowd control issue at USDGC. Maybe that's very difficult to do in terms of, keep stopping general admission from joining the VIP group, because there aren't as many natural checkpoints where you can check those passes to make sure that they are VIP. And so, maybe that's another factor to take into account. But I guess the other part that you have to think about, and maybe this is another way you can consider it, is you have two ropes where you have the VIP rope that is the front of the pack, and then you have a GA rope that's behind them. That's another opportunity to differentiate. I just think that the VIP experience, I'm not going to pay more money for a ticket that just gets me a disc or a commemorative shirt, because there's going to be a fly mart there. And I would rather just go and pick what I want out of there than pay the extra money if it's not going to drastically change my viewing experience. So if you're going to sell them as VIP, if you want to just scratch it and say, look, we're just going to average the two and sell them as regular spectator tickets, then that's fine too. But if you're not going to drastically change the viewing experience, then or the amenities experience, I personally would not purchase a VIP ticket.
Well, but the whole point is there isn't really a VIP ticket. I mean, the VIP ticket at USDGC is I want free food and beverage and like an air-conditioned house to go into and a good parking spot.
Right. So in that case, then like...
And by the way, those sold out. They were $250. They sold out the first day of the pre-sale.
Oh, my gosh. Price point probably a little low for the market on that one.
Yeah, for real.
But I guess if I knew that there were two ropes for following cards, I would pay the extra money for a VIP ticket to stay in the front.
Yeah. And over time, I think even at USDGC, they will find ways to extract more money out of people in order to get a better experience for viewing the golf, at least at some locations on the course.
Right.
It just is what it is. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk MVP Open. It is the last stop of the Disc Golf Pro Tour regular season / playoffs. Okay. I call it regular season because it's not, to me, it's still just another tournament.
It's not a major.
But it's worth 150 points, so it's worth the same as a major, Josh. Arguably worth more because you can't drop it. There's no way to hide from these points.
I hate that so much. Anyway,
it's worth noting the PGA Tour's playoff system. Now, PGA Tour, the playoffs come after the end of all the majors, right? And then they go boom, 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 playoff, Tour Championship.
Yep.
And those playoff events are worth crazy points towards the Tour Championship. But for some reason, it feels different to me because they come after all of the majors.
Well, that, and I don't know, how do the majors? I mean, yeah, it's very different.
I don't know. I
don't want to get into it too much.
It's crazy,
but yeah,
the majors are worth more than everything except the two playoff events.
But they're a package anyway. I don't want to get into this again. MVP is a great tournament.
It's a great tournament. 4 rounds at Maple Hill. We're going to hear about a couple of course changes. Nothing too drastic, but some AB pin placements and some other interesting stuff, and a big change to hole 9, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think, of course, the thing that's going to be on the mind the most this week, Josh, is what's going to happen with qualification for the Tour Championships. And so let's talk about what the situation is. So right now in MPO, everybody ranked 22 and above in the current standings is guaranteed to get in, along with a couple of other guys, Emerson Keith and Parker Welk, who are at 27 and 52 respectively because they won an Elite Series. Mm-hmm. So that leaves this group as in but not locked. Joel Freeman, Ben Calloway, Chris Clemens, Nicholas Antela, Nico, Mason Ford, Andrew Presnell, Vino Makala. Okay? That's the line. Now, below the line, you got a bunch of guys who are still alive. It's about 15 players. I'm not going to go through every name, but the guys closest to the line right now who have the most realistic chance of getting in, Robert Burridge, Chandler Kramer, Paul Ulibarri, Garrett Gerthy, Eric Oakley, Jakub Semerad, Gavin Babcock, Brody Smith. So a few other guys still in it, and it's going to be a matter of like, can you outplay some of those guys above the line by enough to catch them?
That's the big point, right? Is Robert Burridge, for example, he is only 22 points behind Vaino Makala at 150% tournament. That's not many places. He beats Vaino by 3 or 4 spots, and that's enough for Robert Burridge to get in. The bigger problem you've got is the likes of Andrew Marweed, for example, who's down in 44th, who technically could still make it in, and honestly, I think has one of the best shots over here at the MVP Open. He plays, that's just his style of golf. The problem is, though, is that he is 112 points behind Vaino, which means he needs Vaino to play absolutely terrible, and Andrew almost needs to win in order to have any chance of catching and passing him. So there's definitely people who I think have a realistic shot, and then there are those who really need one of those guys to lay an egg and not score hardly any points.
I will point out, this is interesting, in both MPO and FPO, Calvin Heimberg and Kristen Tatar, current number ones in the standings, are not guaranteed to finish number one. They could still drop down. Both Isaac Robinson and Gannon Burr could catch Calvin, and Missy Gannon could catch Kristen. So that's quite interesting. Will it happen? Probably not. I mean, for instance, Missy would have to finish. I mean, there's a lot of ways it could happen in theory, but the most likely scenario is Missy wins.
Yep.
Kristen would have to finish 10th or worse.
You taking those odds, Charlie?
I am not. Calvin right now is sitting 113-ish points in front of Isaac Robinson. So it's even tougher sledding for him and Gannon Burr to try to catch Calvin. I mean, Calvin would have to like DNF or like finish way back. And Isaac or Gannon would probably have to win. So it's possible, though unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're hurt, if you're Calvin and Kristen, you just got to limp through there like
throwing lefty,
throw a little putter.
Well, it's funny because if Calvin, like you said, just like gets the half point because he flick rolls putters with his left hand to just finish the round, Isaac would still need to win, and he would only beat Calvin by 36 points.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Calvin, if he starts and doesn't DNF, his minimum possible points is 1150. And Isaac's maximum points is 1186 with a win. Right. So that's kind of what you're looking at. It's not. There's some margin of error there, but it would take Calvin or Kristen having just a catastrophic weekend. Yeah. But it is possible, which I thought was interesting. I didn't really think that we would get to this point and have it be possible. On the FPO side, what is the situation? You've got everybody in the top 11 is locked in. That leaves Jen Allen, Maria Oliva, Allie Smith, Stacey Ronsley, Luca Lorenzen, Juliana Korver, and Lisa Fake is in. And then you've got a big group behind them chasing Sayananda, Emily Beach, Holly Finley, Hannah Wynn, Deanne Carey, Rebecca Cox, Vanessa Van Dyken, Henna, Alexis Mondahano, players who are conceivably within striking distance. And obviously, anybody could win outright and guarantee themselves a spot.
Correct.
So that's all. There's always that. You've always got that lottery ticket.
One note here: Paige Pierce and Valerie Mondahano both have spots thanks to their wins. Paige unlikely to play though in the Tour Championship, which means Sayananda really is kind of in right now, and it's going to be after that are chasing. Sai only has 1 point on Emily Beach, and so that margin is very tight right there, and that final spot is definitely going to be hotly contested this weekend.
So, there's a lot of ways things could happen. Juliana, Lisa Fakis, Lorenzen, they all have to play well to make sure that they're safe. And if they have a bad weekend, they could definitely get surpassed. Everybody does have that extra possibility of the spot dropping to 19 because of no page. And so TBD on that. We're going to talk more about the MVP Open in a little bit, but first, let's talk to Steve Dodge and get his thoughts on this year's tournament. We'll be right back.
Pound's the best of the best. It's the quality, the craftsmanship, the vision for what a bag could be. Let's start from the beginning. I didn't choose Pound, I chose Levi. I trusted Levi to make the best bag possible.
He's always trying to innovate. He wants it to be perfect. And I think he's the kind of guy that nothing's ever perfect.
I trust the product. I trust the people behind the product.
At this point, I don't think anyone's disputing that it's the best made bag.
Joining us now on the Upshot is the TD of the MVP Open presented by OTB, as well as the owner of the Maple Hill Disc Golf Course. Is it currently number one in the world, Mr. Steve Dodge?
According to UDisc, it is. According to other sites, it's a premier course. We refer to ourselves as a premier course.
Okay, so you don't call yourselves number one, just elite.
Yes, we're part of the elite series.
All right. Well, it's the final playoff event of the season before the Pro Tour Championship. Steve, you've been this tournament now for 2 years, where it's the last chance to earn points before heading on to the Tour Championship, and you kind of get that prestige of being the final stop of the the standard season, let's call it.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you to be able to host this event with the smaller field and kind of all the trappings of the last chance to get into the tournament?
Well, I guess the first thing that I'll say is we are looking for a catchphrase for the MVP Open, and just calling ourselves the tagline "Only the best at MVP Open" kind of worked out really well with OTB coming on as a presenting sponsor. So that phrase, "Only the best at MVP Open," really worked, and it feels real. It's funny how sometimes sponsorships, sometimes they fit and sometimes you kind of have to pound them in a little bit. And this one kind of just fit perfectly. So I'll just start out there. Last night, I was talking with a player who was just outside the bubble of making the Tour Championship, and talking with them this was obviously a very important event, but they understood all of the implications of what is going to happen over the next 4 days. So that to me was really exciting. You get little mini goosebumps when you hear the passion that people have. Number one, they're really excited to have earned the spot here, and then their performance at the event matters so much. It is not just another tournament, and that makes me very proud.
One of the things that we hear a lot of feedback on is people are kind of in favor of creating even a little bit more steep cuts in order to get into the MVP Open. Making it really feel like a playoff event, that you have to perform well at GMC or this year at D-Glow in order to get into then MVP. And that kind of reduces the field a little bit more significantly because, as we know, almost all the touring pros, if you're a touring pro, you're probably in the MVP Open.
Yeah.
Right. And that is still something absolutely commendable. Would you be in favor of a little bit stricter cuts to give that and kind of bump up the prestige, knowing that would require you to kind of find some outside funds in order to make up for the lost revenue that comes from entry fees?
Charlie, I don't know if you guys like hot takes or not. But I'm going to give you guys a hot take of mine. I don't know if this is a hot take, but this is just the way that I view this. I love how hard it is to get into the event. It is very exclusive. If you're playing in the MVP Open, you are one of the best disc golfers on the planet. Having said that, there is a part of me, and I haven't shared this with the Pro Tour yet. We do an assessment afterwards, and that's where I'll share this with them unless they listen to the podcast. But there's a part of me that misses the 180 players and the amount of energy that all of those extra bodies bring to the event. And I think it's NASCAR that they have the playoffs, and I'm not even sure how they do it, but like there's 12 cars that are officially like in the race, and then they have all of the other cars there as well. Does that ring a bell to anybody? I'm not even sure. And I kind of like
NASCAR.
if there's a way to integrate and say, okay, you guys and gals are all in the same primary pool, but then we want everybody still to be here and celebrate with us. If there was a way to manage that, that would feel great to me. I don't know if it's possible. So to your question about making it more exclusive, Josh, I would say no. And if you keep the numbers the same, it will become more exclusive because there will be more and more better players. So we could keep the numbers the same and become more exclusive in that way. I would love to get more players back playing Maple Hill, but they're they can win the MVP Open presented by OTB, but they can't move on in the playoffs because they didn't make that round of the playoffs. That's if there was a way to do that, that's what I would like to do.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a tension because, I don't know what the PGA Tour tournaments are leading up to the Tour Championship, but I don't think they're anything like especially amazing. I mean, they're like a couple courses that nobody's like desperate to play. Whereas Maple Hill, like this is the course. For many people, it's their favorite course.
Yeah.
And it's the one tournament of the year that truly has a limited field.
Right.
And so that kind of sucks, especially for people who live in the Northeast and might want to just compete in the event.
Right.
Because they live in Massachusetts and this is like a chance to play with the pros and whatnot. I don't really know how you solve that without something like you're describing, or putting MVP at a different spot on the calendar. So it's always felt weird to me that this is the tournament that gets like heavily limited when it's the one tournament that people might like really want to play every year.
I appreciate all of those words and I concur. But it is really nice being the final playoff event. We're honored. It is an honor that I love and cherish. And if we can find a way to bring more people in, that would be great.
Are there any course changes of note this year?
Yes. There are. We've made course changes on the men's side, the women's side, and we've actually added some changed pin positions as well. So we have 3 levels of course changes. On the men's side, the biggest course we changed hole 7 just a little. We moved the tee back 40 feet, and then we moved the pin forward 40 feet. So the net result is similar, although some of the trees, it's a little. You have to hit a thinner gap on the drive, but the net distance is the same. And we did that primarily for the spectators, which we can get to later. And then on hole 9, which was a fairly simple par 4 up and over the hill and then down to the green, we added a new fairway, it's about 430 feet to the landing zone, through a gap. And if you make it to the landing zone, then you have a good look at the birdie. It is not an easy shot. I just saw on, I think it was on Brody's YouTube channel. He, Ezra, and Simon were playing it, and they threw 3 or 4 shots each on that hole. And they had a few of them had a great look at birdie after their drives. But the rest of the shots were a little too short. And it was fun hearing them debate, should you have to have a perfect shot to have a chance at birdie? And then they got into a little philosophy about disc golf, and it was fun. But so that's our one big change on the men's side is hole 9 has basically gone from a 3.5 to a 4.5. And then on the women's side, we shortened holes 1 and 16. The women were having trouble birdieing those holes. And so we made those holes 30-ish feet shorter, just to give them more of an opportunity to get into circle 1 and circle 2 in regulation and have the birdie looks. And then hole 7 changed for the women because we moved the tee back for the men, and we wanted them to use that same new tee. So that hole was 40 feet longer. It was a middling hole score-wise for them, and now it'll probably be a harder hole for them.
Quick question. How did you change hole 1 for the FPO side? You said you made it a little shorter. Did you move the tee?
Oh, no, we moved. No, we did not move the tee. We moved.
Okay.
We have an FPO basket. I presume you know the hole, and I'll just. It's a peninsula green, and the men's basket is towards the back of the peninsula green. The women's basket is now towards the front of the peninsula green. So the women don't have to tuck the disc in there to get a good birdie look. They can basically get to the mouth of the peninsula and then have a circle's edge putt.
Got it. The reason I ask, I mean, hole 1 is probably the most iconic hole in disc golf. And I was curious to know what kind of changes were made, in order to preserve the integrity of that hole while still making that change.
Yeah.
You highlighted one other change that I wanted to follow up on. This is a 4-round tournament this year, being a playoff event. And round 3, it indicates that we will be playing to the B pins.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those changes?
Absolutely. Thank you. I mentioned 3 different sections, and I talked about 2. So the B positions on hole 1 for the women, we are not changing it. But on hole 1 for the men on day 3, we're moving the MPO basket to the FPO basket. And then on holes 2 and 3, we're shortening both of those holes by about 30 to 45 feet. Again, making them both easier. The thinking there is, I want moving day to be a real moving day. And if you're on the cards 3 and 4, and then you go birdie, birdie, birdie to start, assuming that you're hitting your shots and you're making it work, all of a sudden you're launching up the leaderboard. And when the lead card goes off, there's a mosh pit of people, sitting in and amongst the leaders. And my goal is to make the whole moving day very exciting and aptly named. Simon Lazat gave me the idea for making moving day and making it focusing on the word moving, where I think traditionally it's the day that you want to make your move. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people, at least in the early part of the round, make that move. That's what we're doing there.
Very interesting. So no $1 million shot this year. Instead, I'm seeing something about a $20K giveaway for being CTP. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened to $1 Million Shot, which was a great concept, and what this year's little promotion is?
Well, I'll start by saying East Coast Metal Roofing is one of our best partners. Actually, they're the official roofing company of Maple Hill and the MVP Open now.
Oh man, so, I'm going to get my roof from them.
That's I did. So, but we had really good conversations, and they were excited to be a part of this again, and they kept saying, "How much is it? How much is it? How much is it?" And the insurance company was dragging their feet, and we weren't able. We went with Lloyd's of London last year through Foy Insurance, who I guess got the secondary insurance through Lloyd's of London, and working with Foy, they just said, these guys, they're really nervous about this shot. And we ended up just saying, rather than give the $20,000 to Lloyd's, let's give the $20,000 to the spectators and players. Let's spend basically the same amount of money, but definitely give the money away to us, rather than watch somebody get within 40 feet of a 600-foot shot. So that's the reason that the shift happened. And East Coast was very supportive of that. And in fact, he said he did a similar thing where he had an insurance policy for a free metal roof if something happened, like the Patriots win the Super Bowl. And then he said, but the insurance policy was so much money, I just decided I would just give somebody a free roof throughout the year. Like I just pick somebody at random, and I spend the same amount of money, and I get to I actually give something to people that support me. So, I like this concept a lot better. The 20K CTP giveaway, is going to be a bracketed CTP. We're going to have about a 480 foot shot. We've got the top 4 people in MPO in this stat, in this basically AccuDistance stat. And then the top 4 women as well. And then we've got fan votes and some other things to fill out the last 4 spots. But basically you'll have Calvin and Simon competing in a 480 foot CTP. And whoever wins it, we hand them cash. We hand a spectator cash who's associated with that player. And then that person moves on in the bracket with their spectator, and everybody just wins a lot of money. And I actually went to the bank last week and I said, hey, I'm going to be pulling out a lot of cash, $100 bills. How's this going to work? And she said, thanks for letting us know. We got to call ahead and get a whole bunch of, they have plenty of cash, but apparently not in hundreds. So, and we want to hand out hundreds. So anyway, that's the way I have a funny college story about singles. If you can allow me to go on a tangent.
Please continue.
So I used to be a waiter at Denny's in college, and so I had a lot of singles. And I went to the grocery store, and I had it was $37 for my groceries, and so I paid the person in. It was a woman, and I gave her 37 singles. And she just kind of looked at me like, why are you giving 37 $1 bills? And I looked at her and I said, I'm a dancer.
What did she say?
Not a good one.
Oh my God.
I just had to laugh. I was like, you definitely got me there.
You thought you really nailed it, and then she just came right back at you. Bam! She hit you with a jab.
Yeah, that was good.
Hurricane Lee is making its way towards the East Coast and the Northeast, and it looks like, especially on Saturday, you may get some pretty significant rain and wind. How are you preparing for that? And do you have contingency plans in mind for a point at which, even if there's no lightning, you might not play?
Wonderfully, the Pro Tour does a very good job of managing the weather and safety. It is, I would say, it's one of their primary foci. One of the things they focus on the most. And I will leave the calling of the weather delays to the Pro Tour. Seth Muncie does a fantastic job. And I will take the bet on Lee. I believe Lee is going to continue to move east, and we will get some nice winds, maybe a sprinkle. But I think Saturday is going to be a fine day for disc golf, maybe with some challenging winds and a little bit of rain.
I hope you're right.
I do.
I was about to say, I think, Steve, you're one of the people who, if I had to guess who was going to bet against the hurricane, like that just feels like something you would do, Steve.
Every day. There was somebody, we were talking about the football opening week, and somebody said the Eagles and the Patriots are playing, and obviously everybody up here likes the Patriots. And somebody said, you know what? I actually think the Patriots are going to win. They said, I would bet on the Patriots to win. And I looked at them and said, I'll take that bet. They didn't want to take the bet. But you can hope things. But
that's right.
So, and then to that point, one of the things the first part of your question, Charlie, was what are we doing? And basically, we were ahead of the curve as far as setting up the course with all the assets and the rope and all that jazz. So we spent 5 or 6 hours yesterday putting down rocks, improving roads, trenching for getting places for the water to go so we get as much of it not on the course as possible. So there was a lot of work done yesterday, and then we also did some infrastructure improvements over the summer to make things better. But a lot of work was done yesterday saying let's redirect any water that comes. But it was primarily done because we're expecting a lot of rain today. From basically noon to 6, we're going to have rain all day, and it's supposed to be a pretty significant rain. And we just want to keep that water off. Those same efforts will apply if Lee comes this way too.
Well, I wanted to just get your take on the World Championships. Kristen wins; she gets a 999 rated in the update yesterday, and Isaac Robinson, of course, taking it down in MPO. Just curious for your thoughts on what we've been seeing in disc golf competitively this season and at the Worlds.
I wouldn't bet against Kristen. And I think you guys routinely don't bet against Kristen. So congrats on making those decisions.
And not much of a decision.
The end of the fourth round was super exciting when Missy made the charge, got within one or so. I think it was you, Josh, that said that in order for Missy to have completed that, she would have had to continue to play stellar, and Kristen would have had to continue to play sub Kristen. So right now, that is the way things look. Having said that, I believe in the abilities of all of these women on tour, and Maple Hill has a way of leveling the field, and I think that I think we could have a surprise here this week. I'm not betting for or against anybody. I'm just saying I think we could have a surprise. And then on the men's side, Isaac winning 2 majors, almost winning the Tour Championship last year, going into a playoff with Ricky. It's really fun seeing another A-lister step up and say, by the way, I'm here too. There are so many players that have put their foot into that upper echelon and say, I'd like to be here and are here. It's really exciting watching the men play and how there can be 20 guys within a few strokes of the lead at any given time. And, I've had a really good season this year sitting on my couch, watching DGN and genuinely enjoying watching disc golf.
Well, sorry, Josh. Yeah, you mentioned
You're right.
Kristen being the favorite, and it's certainly true. She has not won the MVP Open, though, in the 2 times that she's played it. Last year, she lost to Natalie Ryan, who will be in attendance. This is the final stop on the United Series. We're in relatively liberal Massachusetts. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on this being a United Series event and kind of, it seems like there's been less discussion about this since the Pro Tour kind of flip-flopped and decided to have the FPO divisions at these tournaments. Was looking for a time like we're not have FPO at Maple Hill, which would have been a disaster. That is not the case now. You obviously were in the middle of finding this out and then having the change. So just, where are you on how this worked out and how it's going to affect the event this weekend?
It's definitely been an interesting season. And I have always put my faith in the Pro Tour, in Jeff Spring to do what's right. This situation and the decision at the beginning of the year to exclude transgender women was clearly a difficult decision. And I don't know what the split is, but there's clearly some people that feel transgender women should be allowed to play in professional sports and some that do not. And until that gets decided one way or the other, I feel like where the Pro Tour has settled is the exact right place for the Pro Tour to be. You kind of have to go with, we're a union of states, and each state has, is able to do some laws that are different if the federal government doesn't define it for those states. And Massachusetts is going to side one way, and another state may decide another way. And it absolutely makes sense to me to abide by the laws of those states. I was going to say celebrate, but that's not what we're doing. I like to celebrate, but we're not celebrating the laws. We're abiding by the laws. And I feel like the place that we are is the exact right place to be for the time being until it gets decided that transgender women don't have an advantage and should absolutely be allowed to play, or transgender women do have an advantage and absolutely should not be allowed to play. Until one of those is decided by society, this is the right way to go. And I'm really happy to have Natalie Ryan back. She's our reigning champion. It'll be very fun to see how she does on the course again this year.
Switching topics just a little bit, you guys just hosted the Glitch World Championships up at Maple Hill. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that tournament and how that went?
Well, the short version is I tied Simon. And to Josh's point, I had to play out of my mind, and maybe Simon didn't have his best round. So I did have 3 or 4 throw-ins. The glitch is ridiculously straight. And for me, a 70-footer is a throw-in, just so you know. So I had 3 or 4 throw-ins to save par and bogey, and I think Simon had some chain out lefts. So, but it was a really fun event. MVP came to me with that idea a couple of months ago, and I said, I think we could pull this off. And we made it on a Friday, just a 1-round flex start. I don't even think it was PDGA sanctioned. And just a lot of people came out and had a lot of fun. And the glitch is, so for probably half the people, it was their first time significantly throwing the glitch. And have you guys thrown the glitch?
I actually haven't thrown one yet, although I need to get one because I'm told that it flies a lot like an Ultra Star. And as a result, I think will be a staple disc for Ultimate converts.
Exactly. You can see behind me, I've got all of my Ultimate discs behind me. And yeah, we've both thrown a lot of Ultra Stars, and this thing it's a little more stable than an Ultra Star, actually. It'll hold some good pop. And if you put it on any kind of hyzer, don't count on it flipping. It might flip up to flat, but it's not going to roll over on you. So it was, or not on me. I don't have a lot of arm speed, but the Glitch World Championship was super fun. I highly recommend you go watch the Gatekeeper coverage of the Glitch World Championship, where Landon Brooks puts on a clinic, and Landon Brooks is not yet a teenager.
As in he's 12?
Or 10.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
yeah, I heard about this because he beat Simon, right?
By 14.
Oh my God.
And he beat James, and he beat Chris, and it was ridiculous. Not even close.
Wow. Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to hear that. I'm not prepared to hear that there's 10-year-olds doing that.
Yeah. He's so smooth.
So, Steve, any final notes on this year's MVP Open and what to expect? Any other little pieces of news we didn't get to?
The 20K giveaway, I'll say this, and this is partly because of you guys. We've created something called the Insider Pass. And the Insider Pass allows people to come and play the course when it's all dressed up. It gives people an experience of the MVP Open presented by OTB that I absolutely would love to have as a spectator. And you get to meet a whole bunch of the Maple Hill general manager, the person that designed the Diamond course. You'll get to watch the FPO lead card with Gage Benson, who's the designer of the course. And that experience in and of itself, I think, is going to be phenomenal. Watching Kristen hit a gap and then saying, what were you thinking when you made that gap so easy for Kristen to hit? And then how is Gage going to respond? And that's a fun. I'm really excited to watch the reviews on the Insider Pass. This is the first time we've done anything like this. Obviously, they just did something like this at Worlds, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. We've got some surprises for them, so hopefully they will go away glowing. They'll come back. They'll tell your friends, and we'll expand that. And
so I'm checking this out. It's $1,000. You can also pay $200 for a parking spot, which I'll tell you, a parking spot, those are hard to come by up there. So how many of these have you sold?
Yes, you're correct. It's $1,000. You can pay $200 for an extra parking spot. And the 5 people that paid that extra $200 are going to be very happy.
So is that how many passes you've sold? Is 5?
That's how many passes with the parking add-on we sold.
How many total passes have you sold?
We had 12 passes because we have a passenger van that shuttles them to. On Friday night they're going to a Woo Sox game. We got a skybox. On Saturday night they're going to a brewery tour and tasting. So we needed to make sure we can fit everybody in a shuttle van. So we limited it to 12, and we sold 12.
Wow, amazing! So hey, if you're listening to this and you bought this, please contact us afterwards and let us know how it was.
Contact me first.
No.
Don't let Steve filter this.
All right, Steve. Well, very cool. Good luck this weekend. Hope the rain stays away, and we're all looking forward to watching the premier regular season disc golf tournament. Josh's opinion notwithstanding.
Thank you both for the efforts, and it's really fun to listen to you guys every week.
Thanks, Steve. Steve Dodge with us here on the Upshot. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Upshot. Josh, I want to reiterate the $1,000 maple package that is available, that's sold out. Okay? Here's what it is. $1,000. Mm-hmm. Not only do you obviously get admission to the tournament, you get concierge service, a disc signed by all of the members of the final round lead card, a glow glitch, an MVP open hoodie, a chair. You get to play the course in tournament mode. You get to go to multiple meet and greets. You get an invitation to the welcome players party. You get to go to the skybox at AAA baseball game. You get to go to with food and everything included, obviously. Brewery tour with food and drink included. You get to walk the course with the designer of the FPO layout. Play a night golf round with Raven Newsom. Balcony access at the pro shop to watch players coming in on 18. And then special seating at hole 8 and hole 14 during the final round with like a shuttle taking you around the course to these various places as you watch the course happen. That's $1,000. How do you feel about that?
Look, I think there are people who, number one, plan this trip as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. They plan their work around it. They plan their life around it so that they can come and watch. And I think with these premier events, that is a destination trip that people are going to want to take. And to take advantage of that by making it the entire vacation around this experience and charging for it, I think is such a smart business move, and one that people are, I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity. I think people are going to enjoy it. And we know, Steve said that those sold out and that the 12 passes that are available are gone. And I think that this is a really well done package. It's not something that I personally would probably purchase, but I see the demand for it. I see the appeal of it. And I think that it is a very smart move by MVP to offer it.
They should have charged at least double.
Ooh.
That's an insane. Like, that is not just the disc golf tournament, right?
No, it's
that
not.
is like a mega event. Like, if you priced out all of these things individually, I feel like the value proposition is incredible. I feel like this is better than the World's one. I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Would I buy this? No, I'm not somebody who would buy something like this in most cases. But I think that it's like, this is the future. We're going to only see an expansion of this kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, any thoughts on what Steve had to say?
Yeah, the one other thing I wanted to add, I think that the logistics of the $1 million shot versus the $20,000 cash giveaway was a bigger part of it. I mean, Steve hinted at it, that the insurance company was a little bit nervous about sponsoring and insuring insuring the $1 million shot again. And they played it off with this, well, now we get to actually give the players the money. I'm sure if you're on the ground, giving out $100 bills is going to be lots of fun, and it's going to be a great experience. But the $1 million shot was like, that was something just not seen in disc golf. And that if someone had hit that shot, disc golf goes on the map in every news channel, every sporting like cable network, every just like that, right? And I'm sad. I'm sad that it's gone. I would have preferred the $1 million shot. I know that, that means players aren't taking home the money, but $20,000, that's just not even our biggest payout. Winners take home more than that.
It's not going to get me to tune in.
No, it's not. It's not. The $1 million shot. Sorry. Absolutely. I don't care if they're not even close.
I went out of my way to watch that live.
Right?
I think I get it. I mean, if you're the insurance company and you watch a video of last year, you're like, I don't know, man. Like, is this the right price for this? Because if it's $20,000 for the premium,
yep,
and your liability is $1 million, right? How many? That's 5 times 10 is 50 times you run this event, and it has to never happen in 50 years of somebody to hit the shot. Somebody's going to hit the shot within 50 years, right?
Somebody's going to hit the shot.
With how many chances they get, somebody's going to make it. So then the pricing is wrong.
Yeah. And
so then they're going to want 50 grand or they're going to want 100 grand.
I think 100 grand is probably the right premium there.
But like, I don't know. Is it a 10% shot the way it was last year? Probably not. But I would be nervous too if I was the insurance company. So I understand that they were maybe reluctant to only do it for 20K. But yeah, I mean, it'll be fun for the people there, but no one's going to care online anymore. No. That is what it is.
Yeah. So disappointed.
It's not a $100,000 shot. $100,000 is still enough to get me to pay attention.
Agreed. Yeah, I would tune in for a $100,000 shot.
I mean, hell, like even 50,000 for like hitting a shot.
50. Yeah,
right. But like 20, but it's like spread out amongst multiple people, and it's a CTP. It's not for the ace.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay, I want to talk about hole 9 real quick because Steve mentioned it, and they basically took the MPO. It was the third easiest hole in the course last year. 57% birdies, and we'll put them up here side by side. So last year, it was a 400-foot shot, kind of going right, left to right. You had a little shot up to the hill. You wanted to try to crest the hill and come down the other side of the hill to be able to have an easier approach shot.
Kind of a treacherous green.
A treacherous green.
Yeah.
It's a treacherous green. There's OB and there's water, and they got to get it onto the island. And so that's the hole that the FPO will still play. But the MPO is now playing a 650-foot hole. They've moved the tee pad left and way back. So now it's a 450-foot shot to the landing zone at the top of the hill. And like, frankly, getting beyond the top of the hill would be an incredible shot. Ezra Aderhold threw a hyzer flip nuke in the practice round to the top of the hill. And that's like about as good as you can expect. It's a pretty tight gap. Check out the footage, or if you're watching this weekend, you'll see it's a very tight gap to have to throw it that far. Simon Lizotte said in the press conference, Josh, that it might now be the hardest hole on the course, and that he's worried about backups because, man, if you clip those trees, now you're dinking and dunking your way up this 650-foot fairway. Oh, man. And even if you make a perfect tee shot, it's still not an easy birdie because the second shot is hard.
Yeah, it's true. Look, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I know it's hard, and I've got to watch it play out. But I like the change because here's why. I think that Maple Hill needs the occasional variety to its layout. I mean, how long has Maple, like we see, and there are changes, they make changes and there are some slight variations, but to completely rework a hole, it's hard to do in the woods, first and foremost. And so it's something that doesn't happen often, but I think getting those changes in, because as the one thing I don't want to happen to Maple Hill is I don't ever want the game to outgrow this course. And we've seen courses that are just historic courses that are incredible for the game that get outgrown in different ways. And yes, it's going to be hard. It might be the hardest hole on the course, but the level of play will always be going up. And so you need to take some of the easiest holes and need to tune those, turn up the pressure and make those into harder holes. And so I don't want backups. I hate backups, and I hope that gets resolved. But I'm in favor of sticking in a hard hole like this that is brutally punishing, that's right in the middle, because, we've seen Maple Hill played on some sort of an elite series for a decade. And I think having these changes and variations that add the pressure is just a good momentum, change of pace. You can't get comfortable in a same rhythm because you've played Maple Hill 20 years in a row, and I really like the change. We'll
see how it plays. I
that
think
is true.
The concern is that there's 2% birdies, but we'll watch. Players might choose to just throw like putter, par.
Great.
But hey, risk reward, right?
Risk reward. That's right.
This is a great course. This is just a great course because every hole is memorable. Mm-hmm. And there's like a flow to the course that is very fun and interesting. And they have this beautiful body of water in the middle of the course that they use in a lot of different ways. You have the shot 14 out over and kind of crashing back on a right-handed backhand to a pin that's very tight to the water. Obviously, you have hole 8, the ace run hole, with the 8 holes, which it's a little too Massachusetts for me, to be honest.
That's Charlie. Your New York is showing.
Yeah, I mean, what's your favorite hole, Josh?
I mean, I said this in the Steve Dodge interview. Hole 1 is probably one of the most iconic holes in disc golf.
Is there a more iconic hole 1?
Hole 1? Oh, no way. The only other hole, if you said what's the most iconic hole on tour, like the 3 holes that come to my mind: hole 16 DDO, hole 1 Maple Hill, hole 17 USDGC.
Well, so in 2020, they did a vote. The DGPT did a vote to pick the Dream 18, the best holes on tour. Mm-hmm. Maple Hill had 4 of the holes in the Dream 18.
That's impressive.
Hole 1, obviously. Yep. Hole 8. If you're trying to remember what hole 8 looks like, it's just the straight shot over the water. The hole 1, of course, the huge towering downhill shot over the Christmas tree farm land, over the water, crashing down to the left, and then there's like a tight keyhole green.
Home of Chipmunk Gate.
Home of Chipmunk Gate. Hole 11, which is a big bomber par 4 with the basket tucked back into the woods. You got to throw over the Christmas trees again. I actually think I like 13 a little more, which is the downhill shot into the woods.
Yeah.
And then hole 14, again, another water hole. And I don't know that any of those holes would maybe fall off at this point, because like it's not. I don't know the best hole 11 on tour, but I certainly can't think of anything better than the one that's being offered here.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And a hole 18 has just like incredible. It creates that opportunity for incredible drama. We saw that last year with Corey Ellis going 2 straight, the spectator box. I mean that's another. The view of 18 there is iconic. It's a great course, and we've talked about this before, but in terms of tournaments that only feature one course, Maple Hill offers the most complete challenge of any other course out there. And it has woods, it has open shots, it has stock hyzers, it challenges the game, and hole 8 I think is just a perfect example of the different ways that you can attack this course, and that's what makes Maple Hill so great.
Well, it's time to get to our picks. This is the last chance to make picks during the DGPT regular season and playoffs. And of course, we've got a couple more majors to come. U.S. Women's, USDGC on the way. Throw pink, not a major, but it is. And then, of course, the Tour Championship. So getting down to the end, Josh, it's kind of hard to believe that the end of the season is nigh.
It really is. It really is.
So you taking Kristen?
Yeah, I'm taking Kristen.
You got to take Kristen.
You got to.
When we were making our picks in the spreadsheet, I deleted everything except our Kristen picks from last week. And Josh laughed, and I was like, but are you going to do anything different? No.
No, of course not.
Kristen, of course, lost a playoff here last year to Natalie Ryan. But I look at this field, and I have a hard time seeing somebody beating Kristen if she plays her game. I mean, that's true every week. And she was... The only players who were close to Kristen last year were Natalie, of course, and Paige Pierce. Everybody else was at least 6 shots behind her.
Right. And Natalie has not played at the same level, and Paige Pierce isn't here.
Yeah, Natalie is nowhere close right now to being able to win this tournament, I don't think. So, who you got in the other 2 spots? FPO.
I hate that we're doing this. I'm taking Missy Gannon and Owen Scoggins.
Me too.
Hey,
oh, if everybody's wondering, Owen, of course, hurt at Worlds.
I asked.
Looked bad spot. She just played an A tier, averaged almost 1,000, crushed Cat Merch and Holly Finley, and I'm like, okay, I guess you're good.
Checks out.
Just needed some rest. Respect.
Got that dog in her.
Definitely got that dog in her.
Who else do you pick right now, though? I mean, that's the problem. Is these 3 are playing great golf, but I mean, Katrina Allen, Katrina who? I haven't seen her in weeks. Paige is out. Holland and Ella are just. I mean, it's so hard to pick them to win. This is it.
Holland was 4th here last year, so it wouldn't be outlandish.
Not outlandish to she podiums,
but it's just I don't pick her over Missy and Own is the problem.
No.
Okay, let's go to MPO. I'm going to take in my 3 spot Eagle McMahon.
Ooh, okay.
I just think
comes off a playoff.
Eagles' current game is very sharp, and you don't need overwhelming amounts of particularly forehand power in order to succeed out here. I just think Eagle has the right mix of skills to attack this course effectively.
Okay. All right.
And he didn't play here particularly well here last year. So actually, he didn't even play here last year.
Right. No,
let me correct myself.
Yeah.
Because of course he was, heavily limited last season. And in the past, he's been up and down. He was 2nd in 2021, 14th in 2020, 8th in 2018. And that's the 3 times he's played.
Fine standings. That's good.
I just think he has been better than maybe people are giving him credit for.
Yeah.
He has been really solid this year. In my 2 spot, I've got Gannon Burr, who was close to the top last year. And I just think that he's primed to have a great weekend. It always seems like oh, my putting was off at Worlds. And, he has these weeks where he's off and then he's back red hot and on. But in my 1 spot, I'm going repeat. Simon Lizotte. Why not? Home course. He knows the course incredibly well. And it just, even last year in 3 rounds, because they had to cancel one of the rounds due to weather, he had a really bad first round and it didn't matter. He still came back to win.
Man, I feel like you're gonna see from Simon though the same story as all the AFC quarterbacks who just got the bag this last offseason, where he's just gonna show up with a glitch and be like, "What's up, guys? I'm here to sign discs and have a good time." I am not here. That's how I feel. I just feel like Simon's gonna no-show this weekend. I don't know why I feel that way. Anyway, in my 3 spot, I've also got Gannon Burr. I think that same reason. I think the bounce back's here. I think he plays well here. And Gannon is really shown that pop-off potential. In my 2 spot, I'm going with Ricky Wysocki. A couple of notes here. He's the only multi-time MVP Open winner who is in the field. He won back in 2015 and in 2017. Macbeth, who's won this event 3 times, is not playing this weekend due to injury. But this is the stat that really is what I'm wanting to pick for. He has finished top 10 at the MVP Open every year since his first start in 2010. And in the past couple of years, in 2021 and 2020, he finished 2nd both times. So really like Ricky here to play well. But my winner, give me Isaac Robinson. He did not play particularly well last year here, tied for 30th, just inside the cash line. But tell me, there is not another man more locked in right now than Isaac Robinson. The win at Worlds, the long playoff with Eagle at the silver event, and I just think Isaac is playing on another level right now, and he deserves credit for that. So I pick Isaac Robinson for the win.
All right. We'll see what happens. He's not played here well in the past. He was kind of terrible last year, but
All right.
I can't argue with you about his current form. Little note: Kristen Tatar, MVP Open is the only current existing Elite Series or major tournament that she has played twice or more and not won.
It's disgusting. Oh man, she's got to get
Michael
the win
Jordan,
now.
and I took that personal meme right here.
Right. She's gonna win by 10 now.
Man, what she could have what a season she could have if she closes it out with wins, right? And she's the favorite in every tournament going forward, right? So if she wins MVP, wins U.S. Women's to complete the Grand Slam, wins Throw Pink to rebound after last year losing to Katrina, and then wins the Tour Championship again. Yo, it would be one of the great seasons ever played in disc golf, period. And I know that Juliana had that crazy 99 season where she basically won everything, and that's up there too. But Juliana was playing against they say plumbers and farmers in the NBA back in the 70s. I don't know what the comp is from the 90s, and I mean to take nothing away from JK, who's a legend, but to play at this level against the current caliber of competition is just truly remarkable.
Yeah. It really is. Like I said, I've mentioned this phrase before. I think the Throw Pink and the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, that's the Super Grand Slam, right? It's the
Super Slam.
The Super Slam. It's the 4 majors and the 2 sort of majors.
Yeah, totally. Let's call it. Can anybody win the Super Slam?
Okay.
Obviously, Kristen, the only one with the chance right now.
Man, that's gonna be so impressive.
All right, that is going to do it. Well, wait. Not quite going to do it. We got to do an over-under.
Oh, you're right.
Birdie percentage on hole 9 MPO.
Ooh.
Over-under 6.5%.
How many birdies is that?
I don't know.
It's probably because there's not even 100 people. So a birdie percent of 6 is only...
We know the answer to this. We know how many people are playing, so let's look it up. I think it's 670 something.
Okay.
I'm looking it up.
All right.
72. 72. Okay. So how many birdies is that? It is
4.
More than 5. 5 birdies, you win. 4 birdies, you lose.
So
I think we should aggregate it over the 4 rounds. We should aggregate it over the 4 rounds because we can just average each day's birdie percentage.
Okay.
Because that way, you get if you want to take the over, you get the advantage of having players get multiple opportunities.
Yeah. I'm going to take the over, and here's the reason why. I think that there's enough players who can get the birdie, but the people who are going to get the birdies are probably going to be the top level players who are going to make the cut anyway. And given that's the case, I think my odds, because if it's a percentage, I need less birdies on final day to hit my percentage. But I think the players who are birdieing are going to all make the cut. So I'm going to I may only get 4%.
Yeah, it's a positive correlation.
But I get the
same
8%.
Game parlay.
Yeah. Give me the over. Give me the over.
Okay. All right. Josh is on the over at 6.5. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll be back with you next week to break it all down and start getting you ready for the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championships. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you next week right here on the Upshot. Hey, and don't forget, Sunday night, MVP Open Rapid Reacts live in the Discord for all of our subscribers. discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. Talk to you then.